Portland gets a lot of play with what's happening with the bicycle in our city, and I think what's special about what's happening right now is that the bicycle has been accepted in the city, and so when you're riding around on a bike, it's normal now, and a person feels like they belong when they're on the street, so they're not getting yelled off of the street. And so I think there's probably a tipping point in any community where like bicycles are on the fringe, and then maybe they're a little bit less on the fringe, but they get to this point where they become socially acceptable and they become more normal rather than less normal, and then I think everything just kind of opens up from there, and I think that's where Portland is right now, and maybe we're a little bit ahead of the curve compared to other cities around the country, but it seems like they're catching up quickly, and I'm really happy to see that happening. The components of design, like the parts of design with the bicycle are fit, number one, but then also how the bike is laid out underneath them, and that's going to dictate if the bike has a balanced ride, if it's going to perform the way that it should perform for the type of bicycle that it is. So those two, they go hand in hand, but they're not the same. So fit and that final design, and then from there I'll take all of the numbers that I need to off of my design so that I know how long I need to cut the tubes and what angles my fixture that holds all of the tubing, what angles that needs to be set up at, and all of that. So it's a process of taking that information off of the drawing and then recreating that in metal. And I guess to me that's what's special about a custom builder, and that's what's special about someone with experience, is that they can go through those stages and create something as it was intended to be, and not make, because small mistakes create an undesirable bicycle, or something that doesn't handle the way that it should. I am not trying to reproduce something consistently. There are other builders that do that, and I really admire them because they're trying to kind of perfect one form, For me, especially early on, and I guess early on for me is the first 5 years, I was really experimenting a lot and really doing different things and different shapes here, and really making a point of not doing the same thing twice, because that would kind of like having the same thing out there in the world would like somehow seemed wrong to me. More recently though, and I guess I've been building for 11 years or 10 and a half years, and so over that time, there have been bikes that when all is said and done, they're just right, the overall shape of the bike is right, the colors are right, the components are right, everything is to me, everything is proper, it's just the way that this kind of bike is supposed to be. And so over the years I've definitely found certain bikes that I would think of making as models, rather than doing everything super custom and one of a kind. There have been bikes that I have said to myself, I would like to make 1,000 of those bikes. Speedvagen is kind of is an expression of that, taking those shapes and taking kind of geometries that produce certain ride characteristics, as a limited production, kind of batch built bicycle. They embody the best of what I've found in my race bikes, This is something that I'm pretty excited about, is the way that the brake cable routing goes. So instead of having a traditional seat tube, or a seat post rather, like what you see on the Vanilla track bike over here, which a traditional seat post slides inside of the seat tube and usually comes down to about there, so there's like that overlap. I've gotten rid of the seat post and just extended this seat tube all the way up so it's completely hollow inside, and that way the brake can just route right through the seat tube, and there's a little bit of stainless steel tubing, like lightweight, small diameter stainless steel tubing that's a noodle inside as a guide for the cable. So you get rid of the extra housing, so you get rid of the stop here and the cable stop here and all of the housing that goes in between, so your cable has a more direct line, and that also makes the braking more responsive and gets rid of a lot of, you know, the extra weight and also the extra friction from that section of housing. So small changes, but like, and for me, I guess, like as a designer or as an engineer, like I really come from a place of common sense, you know. For some reason, it seems to be like endlessly satisfying, you know. I don't know if there would ever be a point where someone at like, as a frame builder or doing anything in any kind of like pursuit of any discipline, I don't know if anyone could get to the point where they would say, I'm done, you know, like there's nothing more that I can learn.